Hello everyone and welcome to Strategic Revelation of Own Characteristics in a Trust Game. This was an article written by Anthony Hayes and John Ellis. It was a research conducted by them, and it revolves around concepts of discrimination in negotiation and the workplace in general. So whether people trust each other on negotiation and what they can do to do this, and whether revealing your own characteristics in a negotiation can give you an edge. To understand the full research of Hayes and John Ellis, we have to go a bit into the story behind the study. So this study that I'm going to talk to you about is deeply rooted in Eckel and Petrie studies of 2011. Eckel and Petrie created a trust game in which two agents would send each other a certain number of tokens, and before deciding to send each other a certain number of tokens, they would have an option to choose whether they can pay a fee to reveal a picture of the other person before making a decision how much tokens I want to send you. And they wanted to explore what advantages there are in knowing the features of the other agent in strategic settings. So whether players have a willingness to pay to see a picture of their partner. Some examples of where this kind of thought came from could be found in, like, for instance, Prosper.com. Prosper.com is a website for lenders peer-to-peer. So instead of lending through a bank or through an official institution, you just lend through individuals. And 25 to 35% of the people were less likely to lend to a black profile, for instance. Another examples of where these studies are rooted in is the fact that in blind auditions in 5 main American orchestras resulted in an increased likelihood of women being hired. So when they couldn't see who was playing, for instance. These were very good examples of where these studies come from. So first of all, we have to ask ourselves, what is discrimination in the workplace? The authors of this study, they describe discrimination as follows. We call prejudicial behavior toward a particular subgroup discrimination, but the conditioning of behavior on characteristics of others is more ubiquitous, so it's more holistic than race and gender would suggest. Some studies that revolve around the concept of discrimination in the workplace are a very good starting point to start to understand what is this study about. For instance, Hammermesh and Biddy in '94 found out in a study that labor market outcomes are increasing based on how good looking the people are rated through some pictures. De Bruyne in 2002 said that people with a facial resemblance are more likely to trust each other in a negotiation. And Charlemagne et al. In 2001 says that subjects are more likely to regard as cooperative a partner when the partner is smiling in a photo compared to when a partner has a neutral expression in a photo. So we can arrive to the very important idea that people have a desire to discriminate, because maybe knowing the other agent can give us certain advantages in negotiations, so give us certain edges. This concept of the desire to discriminate to get an edge brings us to the research question of this study. Do individuals perceive a benefit to revealing a picture of themselves in a strategic interaction? Because if they do, players believe they can use their own characteristics to influence others in negotiations, for instance. The experiment setup is a bit confusing, but I will do my best to explain you very clearly how it works. So basically there are two agents. There is a truster and there is a trustee. The truster is the first mover, so the one that sends the money first to another person, which is the trustee in this case. The truster is given 10 tokens of the value of $1.50 each. The tokens are awarded from the experimenter directly. The trustee instead receives the tokens from the truster, and these tokens are multiplied by 3 by the experimenter. So what happens is that if a truster sends 3 euros, let's say, to the trustee, then the trustee will receive 3 times 3 euros, so 9 euros. And the trustee decides at the same time how much money to send to the truster. There is 3 experimental cells that every participant goes through, which is the control, which we will call cell C, in which both the truster and the trustee cannot reveal their own picture. In treatment 1 instead, which we will call T1, only the trusters can reveal their picture for a specific price, whether in treatment 2 the opposite happens. All the participants play the game with 2 partners separately, and they played singularly with only 1 partner. So how does the experiment work? Well, in the cell C, so in the control cell, the truster decides any amount of token, we will call them this amount S, to send to the truster. The trustee decides simultaneously how many tokens are to send to the truster. The trustee, though, will never know how many tokens the truster sent him, while the truster will always know what amounts he decides to send and what amounts he decides to keep. So the trustee basically will have some different options on his screen based on every single amount that he could receive from the truster. So for instance, if the truster sent him 1 token, he would have 3 tokens, and he would have to make a choice based on 3 tokens, and he make a choice based on 6, on 9, and so on. This is for controlled cell. For the cell of the treatment 1, so T1, the trusters choose if they want to pay $0.1 or $1 to reveal their own picture before sending any tokens to the trustee. The rest proceeds exactly as in the control cell. In cell T2, the opposite happens, so it's the trustee that chooses if they want to pay the specific price before sending any money back to the truster. Subjects receive a payoff, so they will get paid to participate in this experiment. And every subject will receive a $10 participation fee regardless of any of the outcome of the experiment. Then on top of that, one of the 2 treatments gets paid, and this is completely decided at random. So the total payoff would be the participation fee, the $10, plus the outcome of the randomly chosen game, minus the price paid to reveal one's own picture, if obviously they've decided to reveal it. The results are very, very intriguing. So we have to start from the results connected to demand for self-revealing. So whether there is in fact a demand for self-revealing, which there is. There is a demand for self-revealing because we can see from table 1 that 36% of the people that had a decision whether on paying to reveal their own picture decided indeed to reveal the picture. The other very important thing that you can see is that the demand is a downward sloping curve, meaning that whenever the price increases to reveal one's own picture, less people are likely to reveal it. This is very indicative because 47% of the people at the $0.1 price level decided to reveal their own picture, while only 25.5% decided to reveal their picture at the $1 level. On average, we can see that trustees purchase more pictures than trusters. They generally purchase on average each 0.91 picture, whereas the trustors only buy 0.59. We can see this from the fact that and from this we can kind of realize that trusters are more price sensitive, What do we mean by this? We mean that the trustee has a less difference on the price level on how much picture, how many times they decide to show their own picture, where the trustor has a much higher much higher difference in that. This could be to price sensitivity or other factors that we'll discuss further. Nevertheless, we can always say that the price has definitely a negative impact on the whole model, and this impact has a coefficient of minus 0.239. Then we have to jump into the behavior of the different agents. So the behavior of the trusters. The trusters sends an average of 4.9 tokens in the control cell and 4.53 tokens in the first cell, so when they reveal their own picture. This could be to a certain price sensitivity. They generally send less money, less token, because they paid maybe to reveal their own picture. And they send 4.25 tokens in treatment 2, so when the trustee reveals their picture to them. Some discrimination could be occurring in this case, and even if the amounts are not that, they don't have that much of a difference from each other, we can definitely see a difference from the control cell. On top of that, we can see that men trusters send more than women trusters on average, where men send 5.28 tokens on average, and women send 3.08 on average. Let's jump into the behavior of the trustees. The trustees return significantly more than what the other partner does. When does this happen? It happens when the partner reveals a picture of themselves, or when they themselves reveal their own picture. They generally return 1 to 2 tokens more than every partner, and this could be due to the fact that, as we said before, there is a lesser price sensitivity. Maybe they think, okay, if he sends me 5 tokens, then I will have basically 15 to handle, so maybe I should send him back 7, so we're kind of on a good level, or something like this. Or maybe because they think that showing their picture or seeing the other person's picture enables trust to them, so they can find some resemblances or stuff like that. And maybe it could be some other factors like gender, or maybe like any type of other trust type of factors. But the researchers said that further research is needed to assess this, as all of these other factors are the sample size for this experiment was quite low compared to what it could have been, and therefore with a bigger sample size they could be able to identify better these factors. To conclude, we can say that there is willingness to pay to reveal personal information, so we can definitely say that actors believe it can be influencing to show their own characteristics. This is found on various significance levels, so it is happening in the experiment. Although on the other hand, we have to say that this is not necessarily due to rational belief. For instance, as I said before, if I reveal my own, maybe I enable greater trust, so maybe I get back more, or something like that, as the trustees did. We can say that trustees generally return more, so 1 to 2 tokens more than trusters. Can be due to price sensitiveness, can be due to this rational belief, can be due to different factors that couldn't be found significant in this study because the sample size was too low. And we have realized that the demand curve for revealing oneself is downward sloping. Therefore, price has a negative impact on the demand curve, and the higher the price, the less one is willing to reveal themselves. This follows economic theory, where demand is downward sloping. For higher price, there's less demand. For lower prices, high demand, and follows perfectly economic theory. I would like to thank you for your attention and wish you all a wonderful week.